What is going on, everyone? The market was a little bit choppy today, but that's all right, as there is a lot going on. The powerhouse NVDA just reported earnings after the bell, and the stock is all over the place in the after hours, so we're definitely going to talk about that. But we also have some pretty big news on how Jeff Bezos might be secretly dumping a ton of Amazon shares, and we have some other interesting things to talk about as well, like the FOMC minutes and some setups and predictions for tomorrow. We have a great video today, and we have one full trading day left for the week, so let's make it count. And Tom, let's get right into it.
Yeah, the market was very lackluster today, coming off of that big explosion yesterday. What does it do today? Of course, it pulls back just a little bit, and look at the end of the day, it actually channeled in between 452.70 and 453.60, and you can see how it was just like a heartbeat monitor between there, Mike. Like you said, it was extremely choppy, like we were in the ocean waters or something like that, but the SPY was a very choppy day overall for them. But what's everybody looking at today? It is NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA was also pretty choppy throughout the day, and towards close actually popped up a little bit. But now that the earnings came out, Mike, it looks like the stock is actually falling down a little bit, at least right now. It could end up opening and going green by tomorrow morning, but I will say the first initial move is not my favorite. But I will say their earnings were quite good, to say the least. NVIDIA is one of the best companies I've seen with growth over the past couple of years. I mean, just some of these numbers are insane to say.
Literally, they crushed revenue expectations and profit expectations. On top of that, their revenue is up 206% year over year. There are basically no other companies posting growth levels this high, let alone at this scale. NVIDIA's, obviously dealing with, tens of billions of dollars here each quarter, and they are just crushing it. But basically, the growth was kind of already priced in. So if we look at NVIDIA stock, the stock isn't really doing anything, because the stock basically went from $130 from a year ago today up to $500, so it's it ran up so much over the past year, where it's even though earnings were fantastic, it doesn't really matter for the stock in the short term, because the stock already moved so much and everyone was already expecting this. So that's kind of the situation at hand. Going into tomorrow, it can definitely move a lot to the upside and the downside in after hours, and a lot of that will depend on the conference call that we see very shortly. But at the end of the day, it's very clear that this stock is very overbought, and it can continue to grind higher, but it's going to need even more news. Think about it this way, Tom. NVIDIA reported a revenue increase of 206% year over year, and even that can't make the stock go up in the short term.
Yeah, true. But I will say the stock has been amazing this year. It's been the best stock out there. So I'm glad that NVIDIA has been continuing to do well, and I'm glad they posted good numbers. But like you said, it's to the point now to where it's so overextended. You just cannot get that out of your mind, right? I'll tell you, I love NVIDIA, but I am not a buyer up here at all. I'm a seller up here, and I think there's a lot of people like that. Even the CEO of NVIDIA, earlier this year, he ended up selling a few shares up there at the top. And one thing that they did talk about, Mike, that maybe will be talked about more in the conference call is, remember how they're restricting these chips going over to China. They actually said, though, that they're expecting their other regions to offset kind of that miss by China because of those restrictions. But just because they say that doesn't mean it will. So I'm curious, Mike, if maybe that will scare a few investors here. I think it could, especially with them coming out with new chips like the H200 or the GH200, sorry, the new one that they just announced is going to be replacing the H100, and I think that could go over pretty well. But again, they're not going to see those growth numbers coming out of China. So that is always something to keep in the back of your mind with NVIDIA.
For sure. The main way I'm looking at NVIDIA for the short term right now is clearly it's overbought, right? And basically what I'm looking for are all the people who FOMO'd into NVIDIA, whether it's call options or shares or whatever the case may may be, they're going to see that NVIDIA is kind of slowing down, right? And eventually, at some point, they will shift out of this stock and, sell out. And there will be a pretty big opportunity there to like hammer NVIDIA stock down pretty hard. This happens almost like every time, not just with NVIDIA, but it happens with every popular stock at the time. It happened with Tesla. It was the most popular thing ever for a while. And then once the trend started slowing, it struggled, and Tesla's doing fine now, but at one point it went from $412 all the way down to $100 a share. That's a pretty nasty drawdown, and I'm not expecting necessarily the same thing out of NVIDIA, but I definitely can see a pullback, especially if the stock does not start running pretty soon, because it's just up so much, and even the great earnings are struggling to keep it up.
Exactly. I always love to compare them to Tesla because it's almost like it's like the new Tesla, it's the king on the block, it's the head honcho in the stock market, the one that's getting all the growth, the crazy gains, and just continues to steal those headlines. Almost every day I see a new headline for NVIDIA, whether it's about chips or about revenue or something with China. I mean, there's always something being talked about. So I love it, Mike. It's one of the most popular stocks out there, but it's just a little bit too overpriced, and it's sitting here at a key $500 mark. That also could play a role. Psychologically, it's hard for people to want to buy when they know it's already up too much. And then number two, it's at such a big level like 500, where I'm sure a lot of people are looking to dump shares right now. So I'm curious how it does over the next week or so, Mike. But so far, I'm actually going to be leaning down. And in after hours, that wick got all the way down to around $470 on that volatility. So if you're looking for an area to the downside, like 480 and then 470 are definitely on watch for me.
All right, sounds good. So everyone should keep a close eye on NVIDIA going forward. It's definitely one of the most popular stocks. But Tom, we also had a lot of selling pressure with Amazon right at open today. It was falling in like a bigger way than almost anything else. And there's some news with Jeff Bezos and how he might be selling a ton of shares. Tell us more.
Yeah, exactly. He might be selling a ton of his shares here, and it looks like he does this quite often. Just about every year, it looks like he sells roughly like $1 billion worth of stock, but they're saying right here that he may sell as much as 8 to 10 million shares right now. And he actually already last week unloaded $240 million worth of Amazon shares. Now, to show some context, why would these guys unload these shares, right? And with Bezos, it's because he owns Blue Origin, which is a space company. He needs to fund that, obviously. And last week, whenever he did that $240 million sale, it was actually a write-off for some type of charity. We don't know the exact charity it went to yet, but it was some type of he actually marked it as contributions to nonprofit organizations. So very interesting there, Mike. But whenever you see an influential player like him selling $1 billion potentially worth of their own stock, that's a pretty big deal. Now, keep in mind, these CEOs do this often to fund other things like I talked about, but it's definitely a pretty big thing to see Jeff Bezos selling, just being his name has so much, I would say, respect around it.
Yep, so keep a close eye on it. Even that stock has room to fall as well. But Tom, we also had the FOMC minutes report today. The market didn't really go too crazy off of this news, as basically in the last meeting, it basically was shown that the Feds are, they don't plan on cutting rates anytime soon. And long story short, they're just going to keep watching the data and act accordingly with how the data comes. They're not in any rush to lower rates, because if they lower rates too early, it's possible that a whole new wave of inflation can start, and that's like their biggest fear right now.
Exactly, Mike. And whenever I go and I look at the overall numbers here for like rate cuts and rate probabilities, we can see here that the next rate cut is scheduled to start in May. There's a 45.5% chance of that being priced in by the market right now. And the market is not pricing in almost any chance of a hike for the rest of this year or next year. So it's weird to me that they keep coming out with these headlines saying like, hey, we're not, there's no indication of rate cuts, right? Keep in mind that Powell and the Federal Reserve, they have to try to balance things. He can't just come out and say, hey, we're going to start cutting rates in May for sure. Because it's number one, it's not true because there's so much extra data that'll come in between now and May. It could change things. Plus events could happen. But number two, we all know that the market likes to price things in, right? People are buying NVIDIA up at these crazy prices because they're looking at the future of NVIDIA, right? Same thing goes with rates and with the market and with yields and etc. If they just come out and say that they're going to start cutting rates, I mean, who knows? The yields could come crashing down really fast and cause a lot of problems. So it's always weird to see how the Feds are trying to walk that fine line of like, not giving away too much information, I guess.
Exactly. Like, basically, like, they want to make sure everyone's, like, calm and optimistic at the end of the day, but in between that point, they never want people to get, like, too optimistic, and they don't want people to get, like, too sad either. So, like, right now, they're just, like, trying to play the middle ground, and I'll give it to them. They're doing a pretty dang good job, and when you look at the market, that should be pretty clear as SPY is very close to its all-time high. It's a lot closer to its all-time high than it probably should be, but the past 2 weeks have just been, I don't know if they turned these money printers back on, Tom, or what, but it's been pretty crazy.
It really has, and just the way that the breakouts have been happening are nuts. And, we see stocks like NVIDIA continuing to go and others. Microsoft made a new all-time high lately as well. I was glad to see them kind of pull back a little bit today, but I'm just kind of waiting for the floodgates to open, Mike. Like, we keep talking about the market and it being so overextended. One thing to look at is the SPY here. It's running up into recent highs, getting close to 459, 460. Watch out in case there's like a double top or something like that up here. Just don't get caught. If you're a bull, that's awesome. Like, the market's great. I love playing calls lately throughout the day. It's awesome. But eventually this is going to start to change. And I think we're starting to see that happen a little bit here, Mike. And with NVIDIA earnings, that might be kind of like our first indicator as of like, hey, the tide might be finally shifting a little bit here.
No doubt. And speaking of earnings, what else do we have on the schedule for the week in terms of earnings and economic data?
Yeah, so on the earnings side of things, there is almost nothing. Keep in mind, guys, that there is no trading on Thursday, and then on Friday, the markets will close early at 1 p.m. So just keep that in mind. No trading Thursday. They close early on Friday. And as far as economic data goes, Mike, on Wednesday, tomorrow, we're going to get some initial jobless claims 1 hour before the market opens, along with durable goods orders. So that will be on watch. But other than that, there isn't really too much on the radar for this week. And the earnings, I mean, besides John Deere, Tremor International, I mean, there's just nothing really out there right now besides Futu Thursday because it's a foreign stock. But yeah, it's going to be a fun end to the week, I think. But it's going to be price action based, and we're going to kind of get to ride out these NVIDIA earnings and etc. for the end of the week rather than worrying about some big events, which I really am happy about.
So basically what you're saying is there's basically nothing on the schedule, so we can just follow price action and have a good time with that.
Yeah, essentially so, Mike. It's a weird week with Thanksgiving going on. I'm sure that there'd be more events if it wasn't for that.
Yep. All right, well, with that being said, let's get right into some setups for tomorrow. One stock I'm watching very closely is a stock that I just won't shut up about, and that is SLV. So you guys know I've been talking about this nonstop over, I don't know, the past week or two, and it had a pretty good day today. Nothing too crazy just yet, but like I said, this is the type of stock that, like, just had, like, it uptrends for, like, multiple weeks and months at a time. It's not like a crazy tech stock or anything like that where it'll go up or down by 10% in a day, but it has just been, like, stair-stepping higher and higher each and every day almost, and I think that it has a pretty good shot at a, bullish next couple weeks and months, so I'm still watching it very closely, and I like the setup.
I actually love this one today. There was some fear that crept in this morning maybe, and these metals were doing pretty good. So I'll keep it on the radar too, Mike. For my first one tomorrow, I'm going with Target to the upside. So Target had a big run up with their earnings. They're sitting right at a major resistance. I don't know what's happened here, but it's almost like there's like a wall and they just cannot break it. So I'll be watching for them to get above 130, 150. If they break that, I will look at some calls. I think they could make a nice earnings continuation run here out of this. And overall, it's holding its ground very well. I'm surprised it hasn't fallen down a little bit more than this. It's just sitting like right where it closed at after those earnings reported.
There we go. All right, another stock I'm watching pretty closely is Baidu, BIDU. This is one of those crazy China stocks, and it had a decent day today, and its intraday price action towards open was phenomenal. Basically, just reported earnings, and these types of stocks basically do whatever they want. They don't really move with U.S. stocks, and that's a good thing because the market right now, the U.S. market is overbought, where it's up too much where you don't want to like really buy it now, but at the same time it's not bearish enough to short it, so it's kind of creates like a weird situation where China stocks like BIDU are just completely unique and they're actually at a decent level and they're starting to get even more volume and momentum. So I'm gonna have a pretty close eye on this one to the upside over the next couple days.
Man, Mike, we've been talking about this one for a little while now, and it bounced off this support again at like 103 to 105, and it's coming up in a big way. So I love this, the way it's starting to uptrend here. Nice couple green candles. Maybe it could come up and even get to like 120 to 125 short term. That would be nice if it could get back up there. So I'll keep it on the radar too, Mike. I love talking about those China stocks. They seem to be coming alive right now, which is interesting to me. Maybe a shift going on in the market. But with my next one, I'm going with Bank of America, and this one's actually to the downside. So I've been loving these banks the past few weeks. I think they've been awesome. But Bank of America just hit a key resistance at $30. And if we go out to a daily, I mean, this short-term recovery is pretty dang good to the upside. So I'll be watching for a continuation down here. I'm not saying it's going to crash and burn, just maybe a couple red candles down to like $29 even or something like that tomorrow would be a pretty good target.
Sounds great. So we're all clear for the momentum plays then. So let's get right into them. With the first one, we have Amazon to the downside.
AMZN, go ahead and make them break under 141.30, just under that low of day today. And man, that move it open today was wild.
All right, with the next one, we have NVIDIA's little brother, AMD, also to the downside.
I started typing NVIDIA as soon as you said that. But yeah, go ahead and make AMD break under 118 even. This should be a fun one.
All right, and then with the last one, we have Tesla for both directions.
Tessie, they actually had a good day today. So if they break up above 243.50, go ahead and look at those calls. And I actually like this intraday support. In after hours, it almost double bottomed right around 239. So if they get under 239, then look at puts.
All right, so we have the downside level for puts and we have the upside level for calls. And this is for Tesla. Don't forget about AMD and Amazon as well, both of which have downside levels for potential put play. These plays are only plays if they break the levels Tom listed. But with that being said, Tom, it is now time for today's $1.1 million big money trade of the day. And we are looking at ticker symbol GT. So basically, Goodyear Tire, kind of a boring company, but basically the big money put $1.1 million into the GT 15 strike call options that expire on April 19th of 2024. Looking at GT, it has had a pretty good past couple weeks. This stock, doesn't necessarily move with a lot of the popular big tech stocks, but it has been holding its ground pretty well. These call options are not too far out of the money. They have some time to them, and overall the stock is trending in a pretty decent way. So pretty interesting setup, and clearly, as we all know, big money traders don't just enter these plays randomly. So keep a close eye on it.
I'll be real with you, Mike. If there wasn't a big money play on this one, I would probably just discount it. If I go back the past couple of years and I look at the chart, it's like, wow, like Goodyear Tire took quite the tumble lately. They've been really falling down here, but the big money putting 1.1 million into this is kind of interesting. And this is a very low price stock too. It's only $14 a share. I'm not saying it could explode, but let's say that it gets back up to some of these recent highs over the next few months. You're talking maybe like a 30 to 40% uptrend into resistance around 19 or 20 bucks. So it looks pretty good, Mike, and starting to uptrend a little bit short term. Definitely, I'll keep it on the radar. I'm a big car guy, so of course I know all about Goodyear. I love their tires and stuff. So pretty cool company, but I will say pretty whack stock over the past couple of years.
Yeah, no doubt about that. It's kind of been stuck in the mud, like you said, but at least over like the past like 1 to 2 years, it's definitely been better, and it's definitely been holding its ground. So either way, keep a close eye on this one, and maybe we'll check back in on it in a couple months from now. But going forward, guys, it's our last full trading day of the week. Let's make it count. Today was a little bit slow and choppy, but, of course, it's all about, tomorrow's a new day. That's what I'm trying to say. So enter tomorrow with your heads up high. There should be some good opportunities heading into tomorrow, and let's crush it.
Yeah, let's go. And remember to be adaptable out there. I know that calls have been really working out a lot lately. Just remember when the market starts shifting back down, you might need to switch to puts here and again. And tomorrow might be one of those days if NVIDIA ends up continuing to fall down into the red tonight. I wonder where this one's going to end up tomorrow. If you're still listening, let me know in the comments where you think NVIDIA is going to end up. Will it be above 500? Will it open around 490, 480? Let me know what you think. I'm kind of thinking it's going to be around 490 personally.
Tom, you know how these questions are. You have like two types of people with this. You have like the ultra bulls that are like, NVIDIA will be at like $680 tomorrow, guaranteed. And then you have people that are just like hate it, and they're like, NVIDIA's going to like 220. And there's like no in between here. So like, we'll see what happens. But so far, it's definitely been a pretty big chop fest with this one.
Yeah, it has. I can't wait to see some of the numbers. Hopefully we see some good ones, maybe some people talking about some good supports coming up, like maybe like 482, 490. There's a lot of big levels, guys, so just let me know. But it's going to be awesome over the next few days to trade this. And I'll be honest, even Friday, it's going to be a short day, but there's probably going to be a few opportunities mixed in Friday too. So let's be ready for the end of the week, Mike. I know that Thanksgiving's here, but let's keep going. There's going to be a lot of opportunities out there.
There we go. And if you guys are not already in the stocked up trading floor, you are missing out. We have the best bots technology in group that you will find anywhere out there. If you're into short-term trading, we literally have everything you could possibly need. Today we had a bot play with Apple put options that basically called out, our hybrid bot called out Apple put options at $430 each. By the end of the day, they popped all the way up to $525 each. And that was a decent return, but yesterday's was a whole lot better. We had our sniper bot call out some Boeing call options at $194 each. And those things went all the way up to 480. And, these were two great plays, but you also get access to our Surge bot, SM bot, Stocked Up bot, and a whole bunch of other great bots and software that you won't find anywhere else. On top of that, Tom and myself spend our lives in this chat. You can talk with us all day long. You can access all of the software that we've built over many years at this point, and you can also interact with the community, and overall it's the place to be if you're into short-term trading. We are also doing a very rare huge sale for Black Friday this year. Use coupon code TURKEY with the link down below. We almost never do sales, and especially to this magnitude. Like, this is like honestly the best deal that we must have done in I don't even know how many years, Tom.
Yeah, I know, right? It brings the monthly price. Now, obviously, you have to buy a year for the coupon code to work, but it brings the monthly price down to like $57, guys. I mean, that is like the lowest price on the monthly that you'll ever get with us. So I love it, Mike. Let's go. Take advantage of this deal while it's hot. If you want, you can even use code 2023 for a little bit of a monthly deal as well. But like you said, we don't usually run deals this big. And use code TURKEY, guys. It should be a fun one. I got to give myself credit, Mike. I love that code TURKEY. It's one of my favorites out there.
Shout out Tom with the coupon code name. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Tomorrow should be a good day, and thanks for watching, and let's end the week on a great note.